today is Yom HaZikaron, which is the Israel Remembrance Day for fallen soldiers who fell in combat or in any other situation. And I couldn't think of a more suitable way to spend Yom HaZikaron than with my fellow coach and instructor who works with pre-military draftees such as myself, helping shape Israel's future and helping them train to be strong physically and mentally and be ready for the draft. So please go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do, who you are, what your vision is in life.
All right. Thank you for introducing me, Ton. My name is Nadav. I'm a coach. I'm a strength conditioning coach in Israel. Yeah, sorry, I'm still a bit shaky because of the cold. I grew up in Modi'in, which is a suburb city between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. My experience with sports started a little bit late. It started only when I got to a pre-army program called Mechina. I did a Mechina before the army because I didn't think that I'm ready for a service, 3-year service in a combat unit as I was before the program. And I did the program. It was in Sderot, called Nachshon, and it really helped me first of all gain fitness and gain mentally prepared towards the army. And that's where my journey in sports and in strength and conditioning and interest in even being active or being fit began. And after that, I just drafted to the army. I drafted to the artillery corps. I did a gibush, which is how do you say that in English? Gibush?
I would say like a tryout to get into the unit.
Yeah, it's tryout sort of special forces in the artillery corps. I got into Meital unit. That closed and reopened recently. We don't know still what they're doing because it's top secret or whatever, but our unit back in the day used to specialize in anti-tank missiles, very secret missile, very secret launcher, with one unit ahead and one unit in the back. That's their job essentially is to end up sending missiles, long-range missiles, and get them into the target if it's a window in a building, and if it's a tank or anything else. After that, when I released from the army, I finished my service. I went and kept my fitness journal on a low-level spark. I used to run a little bit. I used to do some kind of strength training. It was more circuit training than strength. And I used to work with Americans in Israel, with youth programs and stuff like that. And when I really got into fitness and sports was when I started working in a climbing gym. I started working in a climbing gym, and I worked as a receptionist, and then I worked up to be executive manager, and I was in charge of the employees and stuff like that. And I realized that climbers don't know really what they're doing in the strength and conditioning. They only know their sports.
Almost like most sports.
Yeah, they're doing very sport-specific work, very just practicing the sport, instead of doing everything around it. Because an athlete needs to have all the ability that athletes need, not just the tactical or technical aspects of the sport. So I went to learn fitness instructor course in Wingate. Did that. Got into rugby in the middle of it. Started playing rugby. Now I'm coaching it, and that's pretty much my way into fitness. I work now with pre-military programs like Acharai and stuff like that. I do mechinot. I work with athletes, building programs for them. I do PT clients like general population and everything around it. Got some experience with CrossFit. That's and that's pretty much me.
Wow, so first off, thank you so much for coming to the show. Besides the fact that we're like brothers from another mother and we just spent the past 2 weeks hiking together, we actually have very similar philosophies. And when Nadav met me for the first time, how did you meet me, by the way?
Well, I kind of stalked him on Instagram. I got to acknowledge to his profile, got a look at it, and saw his dog, saw him, and
it's the three-eyed crow from the Game of Thrones. One second. All right, go ahead.
All right, so I saw him on Instagram, got excited by his channel and stuff like that, and got a knowledge for his dog and everything. And then all of a sudden, like in the neighborhood group, I see like that his dog like walking around the neighborhood, and people asking who it belongs to. I message him, and since then we're in contact. Now I train at this gym.
It's really cool. I mean, Instagram, not that I like love you so much, but the fact that you could connect me to a human being who lives 3 minutes away from you, who has the same exact training philosophy with me, who works with professional athletes, who work with pre-military, same mindset, looks like me. It's pretty cool because without Instagram, even though he lives down the block from me, I would have never met you.
True.
So both, I work with football, Nadav works with rugby, we both work with pre-military. I volunteer with Seven Mikey, I'm rocking their shirt today. Madrich means instructor, that's what it says. And I volunteer with them. Nadav here volunteers with Acharai, which is a similar pre-military program. And today we're going to really delve into the works of how do you build the tactical athlete. The tactical athlete is a fancy way to say a military member. How do you train for it? What do you do? What's the army doing wrong that we can fix as pre-military, either instructors or soldiers about to draft? What can we do to be in the maximum capacity when we draft to survive our training, whether it's an elite unit, to pass our gibush, to pass our tryouts, and to, really let the physical barrier not be a problem whatsoever.
True. Also, I would like to add on that, like in Israel, like we look at the tactical athletes only like as military personnel. You need to understand, like when we say tactical athlete, like worldwide, they're not talking only about like military personnel. It's also firefighters, medical technicians, officers, Coast Guard, whatever.
Police
like,
force.
It's so broad area, and also like it's really important like that we address each of their needs. Okay?
Yes, definitely. You definitely want to get sport-specific needs. So let's say like firemen, they need to climb up tons of stairs, carrying stuff that's also tactical. The reason why I would say tactical athlete is its own niche as opposed to just like a football athlete is because, similar to fighting, by the way, tactical needs are very unpredictable. Yeah. So if I'm training any athlete in the world, a sprinter, name a few sports, a rugby player,
a sumo.
Let's take our contact sports. Mm-hmm. Any player, athlete, I know exactly how to train him sport specifically. When it comes to tactical, you could suddenly being shot at on 1 hour of sleep without enough food, and you still have to be strong enough to carry 90 kilo for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So it's like so unpredictable, and fighting kind of has the same concept. The more the martial arts, where like you might be like half unconscious, but you still have to fight. So how do you train that? It's really difficult. And Nadav here actually is developing a program. We're working on it together to build this perfect program to help people, understand how to be strong physically and mentally and endurance-wise for the military. So let's just break into it. Hi Nadav, I'm Sean. I want to get to an elite unit. I'm drafting in a year. All I know is that everyone tells me, be strong, be mentally strong, be mentally strong. So I've been like doing sprints and I'm running 10Ks and I just don't feel any stronger. Like, what am I doing wrong, man?
All right, Sean. So that's a classic example for a person who trains for the military, for being like in an elite unit or even just being a fighter. All they do is sprints, hundreds and hundreds of squats and push-ups in the field. And while that's also like a way to train, it's not like the most suitable maybe way to plan. And as we need to gain physical fitness up, we also want to gain our mental performance up. And that's two really important factors in an athlete, tactical athlete. Okay, they have to be their physical performance needs to be really, really strong, and their mental performance needs to be really strong. And what Israel doesn't get, that physical performance is no less important than mental performance. And I can take myself as an example. I was really, really strong in my mental performance. Like I could crawl faster and longer than anyone else in my unit.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Why is crawling mental performance? Like, isn't it a physical act?
It is a physical act, but like at some point, like after you crawl, like let's say 20 meters, like the strongest, fastest, or slimmest person in the unit will probably end up crawling the same pace because it hurts. Okay, it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's not something that you want to do. So it ends up being really mental because at the end, like your muscles are fatigued, you are fatigued, you're mentally fatigued, and now you need to push yourself outside of your physical boundaries. the more fit you will be, maybe it'll be easier. But like the stronger mentally you'll be, you can probably win the people next to you if you're strong, if you're mentally strong.
The way I would define it is, the more physically strong you are, the more capable you are of pushing your mental boundaries.
Yeah.
If I'm weak, I don't use the weak word, but we're going to use it now. I can push myself to my limits. My limits are going to be this small. If I'm really strong, now I can say I'm going to maximize the capacity that I do have in my body and push myself all the way to what I physically can.
True. So as I said, like I was really good at crawling. I wasn't physically fit. I was probably in the below. For those of you who know what that is.
It's a combat fitness test.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, like it doesn't exist anymore, but like I used to come up like I think bottom third of like the people in the below. But when it comes like to masao, to carry on a stretcher, alunka, or crawling, I was like at the top 5 probably people because I was mentally strong.
Were you physically strong as well then?
I wasn't physically strong.
So interesting.
I was just mentally strong. I could push myself off. The problem with that the injury came fast to me. Because I was so mentally strong, I could push myself beyond my physical limits. The problem with that, beyond your physical limits, that's like the danger zone of your, let's say, injuries. Because when you're pushing yourself past your fatigue, past your neuromuscular control, your mental, towards your mental area, that's why you can get hurt. And it's important to. That's why it's important to be physically fit. So you can push back this line. Okay, the longer you can push your physical boundaries, the more like your mental your mental state will be. How do you say that? Further away? Not further away, but like if like let's say I can crawl for 50 meters and it's easy for me now. Only after this 50 meters. It's going to be starting like to be mentally tough. Someone who's unfit, maybe only after 20 meters is going to be fatigued, so and like, then like his danger of getting injuries is sooner than
kind
mine.
of. I would say like fulfilling your potential, like pushing yourself to your limits. What Nadav is I think implying is, as we said before, the stronger you are, the more potential you have.
Yeah.
To push to your limits.
Yeah. Your limit is further away. Okay, it's like running, like someone who has like more aerobic capacity, he can run like let's say 10 kilometers at 5 minutes per kilometer, right? Someone who's less can run only 6 at that. And after that 6, if he wants to keep up that pace, he's in a danger of getting injured, or if he's not mentally strong, he'll probably die after a few minutes. Okay? Those who are more fit don't have to get into that mental state as soon as other people who are fit, who are ready.
So what you're basically implying is that the whole like training before the army is not just getting stronger, getting faster, building your mental capacity. It's actually very injury preventative, which is so important because in the military, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're probably unfortunately not training well either. So if you come to the army with a good solid base of strength, you're gonna do your best not to inherently improve, but to maintain it. That's how I've seen it. Even the elite units, you're gonna maintain it and you're gonna say, okay, I have strong ankles, I have strong knees, I have strong hips, I have good mobility, I have good stability, I have strength. Can I survive onto this that I came to the army as best as possible? Because there's no time, there's not that much time to build.
Sure.
It's more to maintain. So if you're gonna come without that base of strength, with pretty not strong, I won't use the word weak, then you're increasing your chances of injury and increasing your chances of not going through the maslul. The maslul is the training. I want to really break down what you feel or what we feel is the main elements that are needed for the army when it breaks down to sport specific. So obviously a base of strength is a must, and I don't mean just push-ups, sit-ups, and dips. I don't mean endurance strength. I mean strength. I mean, if I was in charge of the military combat fitness, which I'm not in the army, but I work with these every day, every person who goes in the army should be squatting at least their body weight with good form. That says, hey, this guy's a strong dude. This guy can squat 80 kilo. I trust him in combat. He can carry his friend. He can carry his gear. So we got the base strength down, and can we break it down to what actual physical attributes are actually needed in the army that we need to train for?
So all of the physical, the fitness ingredients are very important in the army. I think generally speaking, about 10 pillars of physical.
10 pillars?
Yeah.
That's CrossFit, bro.
That's CrossFit. 10 pillars of like physical fitness attributes.
Attributes, yeah.
Attributes.
You know English better than me, dude.
For an athlete to be all-rounded. So if we say like strength, power, stamina, what's the other word? Endurance.
What would you say the difference between stamina and endurance is?
So stamina is like more, let's say it's a more local. Okay, so if I'll say like endurance is like running 10K, stamina will be, let's say, doing a lot of like high intensity work in a very short time. Okay, so let's say a boxing round, that's like stamina because it's high.
Interesting.
High intensity, but it's still endurance. It's still aerobic capacity. It's not anaerobic. It's not explosive. It's not anything. There might be some explosive movement. There must be power and strength, but it's still low aerobic effort.
So we got strength, we got power, we got stamina, we got endurance, and there should be 6 more.
Yeah, stability, accuracy, which is really important, like for some kind of sports, not all sports, but like accuracy can be described as like how you land,
right.
Okay, and it can be how you throw a ball, and it can be how you shoot your gun, or how you throw a punch, right. in a tactical military athlete point of view.
Yeah.
Mobility.
Obviously.
It's definitely something that every athlete should have.
Yeah.
How many?
We're at 8, I think.
We're at 8.
2 more.
We're missing 2 more, and I don't remember
I
them.
mean,
Yeah.
I could go now that we built down the 8 attributes that not just a tactical athlete needs, but actually every athlete needs.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go into the sport specifics. So we got weighted rucks, which in Hebrew is known as masa'ot. You must be good at the ability to walk for long periods of time at a brisk pace with weight. I think we discovered on our hike over the holiday of Passover, we did a 5-day, 120-kilometer hike together, that it's even people who are in good shape are not going to be good at rucking unless they ruck. Yep. I think the reason why that me and Nadav survived to that 5th day is because we're both strong, and I know that at least I hike a lot.
Yeah, you hike a lot. I didn't hike that much. That's why also my hip pain got so much worse at the hiking. And also, like we said, it's also a lot of mental. Okay, so it has a lot of mentality. Yeah, it's a lot of mentality aspect because like I'm hurt, I can still push it. Like my body is hurt, but it's still capable, and that's like I think like what's great about like the mental aspect of like a tactical athlete. But it's still needs a lot of specific work.
Okay, so we got weighted rucking, we got crawling, specifically technique. It's very important because if you're going to crawl without bad technique, not only you're not going to build a skill to get better at crawling, but you're not really getting anywhere.
Also, you can injure yourself when you're doing it wrong, not because like that your technique is wrong, you can't do it, you're going to hurt your knee. It's just like you're going to get shoot maybe if you're too tall.
You get shoot if your butt's
like it's really important to be low, and that's always when I talk with mechanichim and my trainees.
Your pupils, yeah.
Pupils.
Disciples.
They need to be low. If your butt is up, you're going to get shot and you're bad, and you don't want to get shot and you're bad. No, that's the worst place.
You could be like the strongest dude in the world, but if you get shot in the butt, you're not going to get too far too soon.
You won't get any girls.
Yeah. All right, so we got weighted rucks, we got crawling. Sprints are definitely a big must. And good sprint. When's the last time you saw a soldier who said, "Yeah, I learned how to sprint"? Never, right? No. That's a big problem. So
the problem also, like in sprinting with like...
Come more this way.
What?
Come more this way.
This way? So you can hug me now, just like my feet, I try to...
Move around.
Okay. So...
I don't want the microphone to
also the problem that it's also like we see a lot like in that in Israeli sport as well. Like you want to train speed, you have to rest, you have to potentiate your body to sprinting. You have to work on technique, and you have to work specifically on speed work, acceleration work, deceleration work, like whatever, has to be specifically. The problem with Achana Latzava, with the Kosher Kravi, pre-army programs, they're doing a lot of sprint with no breaks. It's just like, it's aerobic capacity. It's like a high intensity sprinting.
It's not just aerobic capacity, but if I get into conversations with people who run these programs, it's like we're building their mental fortitude. No, you're not building their mental fortitude. you're wasting your time with them. I said it. If you're gassing your athletes or tactical athletes, and they're running again back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and they don't know how to run correctly, and they're not sprinting at their maximum capacity because they're tired, you're not really building much. I'm working in the 1% mental capacity instead of actually making them faster or growing their mental capacity. If I have this to work with, and I'm just working with in here, or I can say, let me build this up so I have a larger mental capacity to work with. You got to do that. Crawling, rucking, walking with weight, sprinting, semi-endurance. I don't like the way the Army goes about running. Like when I was in the Army, we were like forced to run like 8Ks, 10Ks every week. Complete waste of time, wasted training, wasting my energy, wasting the little calories that I need. So I'm not going to say endurance training, but I am going to say like 2Ks, 3Ks. They're also in the combat fitness tests, so super duper important, are definitely within reason. And I would rather either a fast 3K, like an efficient 2K, efficient 3K, as opposed to like a slower 5K, 10K, and a fast weighted ruck. I think a fast weighted ruck, like a brisk walk with like 40 to 60% of your body weight, is going to have a much more direct carryover to what you're doing in the Army than if I'm Speedy Gonzilla, the next Usain Bolt. But I would say still built that like through 2-3K. What other factors, specific factors, would you say are important?
Other factors?
Yeah, we mentioned weighted rucks, we mentioned crawling, we mentioned sprints, we mentioned like short runs. Is there anything specific else you would add?
Yeah, like the most common job we see fighters doing regularly is confronting like Palestinian population on a daily basis. Sometimes they push, sometimes you push, sometimes whatever. There are conflicts all day, and you need to be able to use Krav Maga. Okay, that's like the training, like the martial arts self-defense method of the Army, and you need to be able to push back or like fight a person that might be bigger than you, might be stronger than you, might be surprising you. So your explosiveness, your power, your strengths need to be at your top game. So let's say if I bench only 40 kilos and someone who's 120 kilos comes and pushes me, if I want to push him back, that's pretty much bench press, okay? I need to be able to push 120 kilos maybe for 1 rep max in order to push him away. So tactical athletes need to be strong, need to be powerful, need to be able to perform their strength to create force fast. Okay, they need to react fast. So that's also agility, that's also reaction time. Like they need the whole package. It's not only like the most specific, let's say, rocking, running, sprinting, or whatever there's only in a gibush or in specific movements in the Army, but they need to be prepared for anything.
I think it ties back into strength is the base of everything. I've said this before in posts and blogs and podcasts, but if you want to be good in the Army, you have to be strong. I'm not saying that's the only factor. Like if you come as a powerlifter, me squat, me deadlift, I'm strong, and that's all you do, you're probably not going to, get too far in the Army. But you have to be freakishly strong. In addition to that, and you drafting soldiers out there listening to this podcast, your goal in the Army is not to pass the gibush. Your goal is to pass your maslul and be a fit combat soldier who can do your job to its full potential. So just because something is in the gibush, like repeated sprints or some other stuff that may or may not have a direct carryover to your service, it doesn't matter so much. I want you to pass your service. I want you to pass your whole military training healthy and not have any... Everyone I know that finished the Army, oh, my knee still hurts from the Army. That's ridiculous. Your knee should not still hurt from the Army. We want to break down, now that we discovered the elements of, what's needed for the Army, how do we go about it? What do we do? So there's obviously the basis of mobility, the basis of stability, the running technique. That's all stuff that every athlete should do. But I have, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6 days to train a week. I don't know. I have a ton on my hands. What how do I train for the Army?
So there are plenty of methods, plenty of protocol that you can follow.
I want to hear your method, bro.
So my belief and my way to go around training is first building strong base. So let's say working on strength, working on technique, working on running technique like Sean said, sprinting technique, mobility is really important.
Can we be even more specific? Like what I said before about I want every soldier to have at least a body weight squat. As in, if I weigh 80 kilo, I want to be able to squat 80 kilo. I think saying mobility running technique is so vague for people who aren't sure what running technique is.
They want to get really...
Like what do you mean running technique? What is mobility? What what screens would you want me to have? Like, I would say at least a parallel squat without your knees collapsing. Kind of. So let's like really break it down so it's more, you know.
So we definitely starting with body weight squat to see like the mechanic of a body weight squat, like without any barbell, without any kettlebell. Like my first workout will probably like watching the athlete do body weight squat, doing body weight pull-ups, doing body weight push-ups before we even touch a barbell or anything.
100%
just
agree.
to see how he's moving with that. After that, we'll move to see how he runs. Like tell him like, see how you run. I want to see how he run. Maybe
see
then
how he runs or see how he sprints.
Yeah,
or
both.
Both.
Okay, it's really important because if I know that he runs good, but his sprinting is horrible, and I just like prescribe sprinting in his training session, then I don't know like how his sprinting will be. I need to know first his sprinting is good. If his sprinting is not good, I won't just like, prescribe sprinting. I'll just like prescribe running.
I wanna reflect on that because I think this is a mistake that they make in the athletic world as well. If someone's sprinting incorrectly, if you're sending him to sprints, and I don't mean like 1-2 sprints just to like, you know, get him better at sprinting. You still have to develop the skills. I mean just like gassing back and forth. You're actually hindering his ability to sprint because you're reinforcing negative movement patterns. So if he doesn't have enough hip flexion to sprint, or he's not using his elbows properly, or he's not stabilizing his core properly, you're gaining 0 from sprinting with him. So stop wasting your time and work on his sprinting technique instead.
Yeah.
Another aspect I wanted to add was that when it comes to like, for specific or tactical, you're not trying to build a power lifter, you're not trying to build an Olympic weightlifter. I don't care how much weight he can lift. I care how strong he is.
Yeah.
Now usually they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But with tactical and ball sports, there's no point in loading the bar if his squat is not flawless. Because with a power lifter, I could say, you know what? Your squat's not flawless, your squat's flawless, but your squat is flawed, but I want you to compete in a month, and I don't have time to fix your shit, so I'm just gonna, load up the 100 kilo, you can do it. You got the competition, you got your competition, you won the medal, okay, let's fix it now. The mirror tell you, if your squat's not flawless, then your knee's messed up and you're gonna get injured. So I want a perfect bodyweight squat that says, this person is capable of achieving a bodyweight squat. Then I'm gonna load 5-10 kilo. This person is now 5-10 kilo strong with perfect form. So think of it, quality over quantity when it comes to tactical athletes is so important.
Really important. After that, I'll see that his control of a bodyweight movement is like Sean says, flawless. I'll move on into like more complicated stuff that I want to achieve. Let's say front squat or back squats. That will be probably my go-to, as I believe that this is the core exercise and a really important exercise like in my programs. Also, the thing that I generally don't like that people do, that they are fixating on exercises. So let's say this athlete don't do a perfect back squat. Like, what can I do? Like, how can I load him? Like, it's a problem because he can't back squat. That's like a core exercise. It's my problem. What can I do? There's hundreds of ways to squat. Like, it's not like he has to squat like in that way only. Like, we can do goblet squat, we can do split squats, we can do front squat, like whatever. Like
supported squats, so many.
Zerker squat, like you can do everything. Like there's so many exercises to do. The key ingredient is the movement. Okay, he has to move and he has to develop power in certain type of movement.
It's the difference between functional strength and like what I'd call closed-minded powerlifting strength. I don't care how much he squats. I don't even care if he back squats or front squats. I care, am I developing his lower body strength and power? This person has to carry someone of his body weight for who knows how long. While under fire, he has to carry him in a stretcher for who knows how long. He has to walk with 40 to 60% of his body weight. When I was in the army, my officer, he said to me, in the war before mine, not in Protective Edge, but in Mudanan, shield of smoke, maybe?
Cloud?
No, Mudanan, shield of cloud shield.
No, tower of an
okay,
cloud.
we don't know the terms in
Tower
English.
cloud.
May the Lords forgive us. He said that when he was going into Gaza, he was about to, he had 100 kilo on him, and he said if he was actually called to, take action in that war, they didn't wind up going in, he wouldn't have been able to walk.
No.
So like we need people to perform at their very best. So I don't care, front squat, back squat, do sandbag squat, do whatever can build his strength and power.
Besides that, like building like core, like a really strong base in strength and basic exercises, I would start building his engine. Okay, building his engine like aerobic wise.
How do I build the engine?
So first of all, like I'll do like some kind of screening. Like I said, we'll look how he runs, and after that I'll give him a test of running. Let's say 3 kilometers test, like in the testing of the army, or I'll do Cooper's test or whatever that give me.
What's a Cooper test?
Cooper test is 12 minutes of running, and like the distance, the end of the distance that you cover in this 12 minutes. That's like we have like some kind of formula that we put the time in, and then we can know your VO2 max, which is like your maximal aerobic capacity. It's not like your aerobic capacity, it's your maximal. It's like how strong you can go in a very short period of time, like 8-ish minutes. So that's a good ingredient to see how fit someone is aerobically. Okay, so you probably will use one of those screening to know where he stands at, and then we can, after a while that we're training together, I can reassess and see, did we make improvement? If not, how we can do it better. After that, after we did like I think that's like my core ingredients in a training program in the beginning of it.
So we got strength, we got build the engine,
and then we probably will like also like do some stability and mobility training inside of like the first period, because I want to be a strong athlete, but if he can't produce force when he's unstable, that doesn't means a lot. Let's say you jump off a tank and you want to start sprinting, but you land and you fall.
I mean, there's a reason why, like, when I work with athletes, ball sports, the first thing we teach them is how to land and how to jump. I didn't learn that in the Army. No one taught me that, and guess what? They're still not teaching that in the Army.
Yeah.
There's a dude who came to me 2 weeks ago. He's been on crutches for over 7 years because he jumped. Sorry, wrong person. A box of bullets fell on his knee. He's been on crutches for 7 years, and I met a different guy who's been on crutches for like 5 years because he jumped off his Puma, which is like a armored personnel carrier, and he landed wrong.
Yeah.
And that's because no one ever taught him how to land.
Yeah, I had a friend too, also jumped from a tank and got out and rolled on his back, and he fell from the unit. He didn't continue the training session, the training of the maslul, because he hurt his back. And that sucks, because you need to, like, the army should support this training, and if we're not doing it, we're doing something wrong. We need to give like the athletes, the soldier athletes in what that's called. I'm doing that on purpose to see how, the tactical athletes. I'm doing that because it's so absurd that we're not referring them as athletes. Like they're athletes. Like they need to perform, and their performance is much more important than sports performance, because in the end of it, it's life. It's saving life.
They're protecting our country, man. If you can't perform, then you're not gonna protect your country, like.
Or protecting yourself or your friends. That's like comes down to that. Like to end up to finish the army safe, healthy, with your friends, with your family, and protecting the country eventually. That's like the goal of like working with athletes, with tactical athletes.
Yeah. So we built the strength, we built the engine. We added mobility, we added stability. By the way, we'll link all videos to all these things below. What else? What else we need to work on?
So after we build like a strong base, like the athletes starts performing well, I will move on to some power movements, to some fast speed development.
Think like jumps, bounds, Olympic weightlifting, weighted jumps. You know, anything that's not just moving your body slowly like a squat, but actually moving your body fast, because that's what the army is. You're getting up from matzav kriya. You're getting up from the kneeling shooting position. You have to explode with the weight on your back, with the gun. You know, you got to be pretty explosive.
So also like when I work out with my tactical, like pre-military tactical athletes, I will work on like being able to absorb force of someone else, like contact sport, like someone pushes you or someone trying to get you off balance and stuff like that. That's really important, like how to use your body weight and your mass in order to move something else, or to resist someone else trying to move you. It can be a person, and it can be weighted carry, it can be bands, whatever. So it can be everything, pretty much. And that's what's so hard and so beautiful about like training tactical athletes. They need to do everything.
They really do. They really do, and it's such a privilege. I really feel special. I am special, and I think you're special too, because there's not. Most instructors or people working in pure military are usually from elite units.
Yeah. And
everything they learn from the elite unit, they pass on to their chanichim, to their disciples, or their students. That's not the correct way to go about it. you have to apply, or there has to be at least one dude within each pre-military academy who has a strength and conditioning background, who trains athletes, and understands how to apply the sports science to them. And without that, you're not fulfilling their potential. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a military instructor out there, then make sure that either you become that guy by reading and researching or find someone who does.
Yeah.
We're available.
One more thing that I want to mention, that is a really big in, let's say, what it's called, sports world.
Yeah.
Okay, is periodization.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Yeah, periodization means that instead of like training every ingredient factor of like our physical fitness at once, let's say our week will be like we have a power session, strength session, speed session, endurance session in 1 week. We split those area to different times in the year. So let's say in the off season, I will start like building strengths, creating mass, hypertrophy for my athletes, and start teaching them technique and stuff like that. And then when we finish, pretty much about to finish like the off season, we'll start working on power, on speed, on like stuff that are more specific. And at the end, and then the preseason will be much more specific to the sport, and everything will just like fall apart. In the tactical athlete world, like the people that actually are tactical athletes, we don't have this privilege.
There's no off season?
No off season. We always have to be ready. You can't periodize perfectly with like off season, preseason, and in season.
There is 2 off seasons in the tactical. One is before your draft, but there's no inherently coaches. You have to take that off season upon yourself and listen to our podcast so you can learn how to do it, right? And in theory, the training, the basic training that you do, which is 4 months, the advanced training you do, which is 8 months, and if you're doing units, a year and 4 months, is an off season, but it's not really, because it's an off season like tactical wise. Like you don't have to go finding terrorists and searching houses and doing whatever else is needed in the army or planting bombs. But there's so much else to learn. You have to learn how to be a soldier, so you have to learn how to shoot. You have to learn how to deal with pressure. There's too much skills to learn that unfortunately the physical fitness is neglected. Yeah. So I think if there is an off season in the army, it's before. And I want to delve into I know we've said it like around 20 minutes ago, we're going to delve into it. We're going to delve into it right now. If you have 12 months, and you can agree or disagree with me, I would say divide them into 3-month segments. With the 3 months right before your draft, more like preseason. Like start getting sports specific. If you have 6 months, so make it shorter, do 2-month segments. If you have 3 months, first month is the first block of periodization, second month, third month. So the way I would do it is like this, and obviously you can pick my brain, I can pick yours. Strength is the base of everything. The first 3 months, or the first segment, I want you build up your base strength, okay? I want you to be able to squat your body weight, deadlift or hex bar deadlift your body weight, push overhead at least half your body weight, bench press or weighted push-up or weighted dip at least 75% to your body weight, not so crazy. Pull-ups, I would say a little more complex because it's a very complex movement. I would say 10 strict, clean pull-ups with perfect form brace core, no kipping is a good standard. And 1 or 2 pull-ups with 30 to 40% of your body weight, you'll probably be pretty good in the army. Strength-wise, make sure that your mobility, you should have a deep squat range of motion. Not ass to grass, but at least parallel without any knees caving in. You should be able to lift your arms overhead completely without any restriction, without any sort of elbows shouldn't be bent. Your shoulder blade shouldn't be shooting up. You shouldn't be coming from your back. I would say also that a good screen is like a weighted plank. Maybe a plank with 10 to 20% of your body weight with a good stable core for a good half minute, kind of says something about your core strength because I don't really care how much sit-ups you do. There's so much more factors of strength, but I'm trying to keep it simple, especially because some of you may not have a gym or weighted, so maybe a good pistol squat may be a good factor, a way to screen it. It's a little bit more complex. Once you have the mobility, the strength, and stability, the next is it will be power. Let's say we're talking 3-month blocks. I'd move that into a power phase. So I'm maintaining my strength with back to the strength. At least 2-3 times a week training. At least if you want to make change. You want to do 5-6, be my guest. If you have the time and ability, move into a power phase, take the strength I have, drop it down to 2-3 times a week, and move on to jumps, landing, power cleans, Olympic weightlifting, hex bar jump, weighted carries, things that are more dynamic movement. That's already a 6-month period. Obviously, if you only have 3 months, so the first month could be the strength and power. Then I'll move on to start giving sport-specific stuff, teaching them how to crawl, teaching them how to run, teaching them how to sprint, teaching them how to carry people on their back, teaching them how to get up from carrying people on their back, walking with people on their back, which is, by the way, a weighted carry. keep on doing it, then I'll further tone in on their skills, what they need to do in the army. We're already at like month 9, right? So the third segment, I'm like, you want to get to this unit, you always have to carry stuff. So tons of weighted carries. This unit, you have to hold rochash, I don't know. You have to hold drones in a certain way. Hey, carry stuff this way. Then the 3 months before I draft, that's when I do a mechina. That's when I do the specifics, the mental training, the sprinting back and forth, the crawling, the mental drills, the shooting, the lachas, the pressure, because I have 9 months of strength in my belt, so I don't have to waste too much time on that now. Now that's a waste of time. That's when the mechina comes in. If you're starting the mechina a year before, all you're doing is mental, but you're never building your strength capacity, you're doing it wrong, man. I mean, you're not doing it the most efficient way. And before I hand the microphone to Nadav, if you don't have 12 months, you have 3 months, same concept. Month 1, build up strength. Month 2, build up power. Month 3, sport specific. That's just my methodology. It's open to change. What do you think about that?
I love that. I would definitely do pretty much the same. One thing that I would really do is also like building a really strong aerobic capacity. Just because aerobic capacity helps you recover and perform better, like in all of the other aspects. Like I had this discussion with a Shabak personnel.
Shabak is
he's a Secret Service, FBI.
No. It's like the FBI. I think it's called Shin Bet.
Shin Bet.
It's like the equivalent of the FBI here in Israel.
Yeah. So like I've spoken with one of the like an agent there, and he's told me like, why the hell do we need to be tested for a 3K run? I will never on my
totally agree.
I will never like on my what it's called on my mission will run 3K, even run 1K. I won't do it ever. That's not my job. That's not one. So why the hell do I need to be tested for? And my answer is simple: like aerobic capacity, aerobic fitness. That's how you recover between sets. That's how you recover between sessions. And once you have a strong aerobic capacity, strong aerobic fitness, everything else is just easier. I had a guy who I trained, and he came to me, and I like when I do biceps curl, I try to gasp, like I'm out of gas, like I'm dying. Like, dude, you need to start working on your aerobic capacity, because like you if that's only what it takes to gas you out, like you have some work, dude. And we work a lot of like his aerobic capacity, and now like it doesn't bother him anymore, and that's like the beauty of it. Also, like Olympic lifters doing some aerobic work, because in their competitions they need to perform 1 rep max, right? But like in their trainings they need to survive 2-3 hours long of training.
I think that ties in to like if you have a better aerobic capacity, you're actually going to recover quicker between your strength sets. Now I just want to realize that don't think aerobic is running. Aerobic is anytime your heart rate is elevated for a longer period of time. So I developed my aerobic capacity by, after my main lifts, like squats or deadlifts or power cleans, whatever's broken for that day, I'll do some supersets, some cluster sets, and just the concept of like pushing and pulling heavy stuff back and forth with little rest time, that builds my aerobic capacity far more than running, because running is a very small range of motion. Here I'm moving my body in a full range of motion with heavy load, with an elevated heart rate. Weighted carries, carrying a wounded on my back, that's literally what it is. So supersets and metcons and all the CrossFit style stuff, this is where they are useful, because they're much more sports specific than just like running or anything that steady heart rate.
Love that you mentioned CrossFit and metcons, because like circuit training, it's basically doing an aerobic workout, okay, but you're just using so much variety of movement.
Higher intensity.
Higher intensity. So let's say I can squat 120 kilograms on my back for 1 rep max, but like my endurance of like my quads and glutes and everything else and tissues in my body are not capable of like endure that for long. Like I can do it for 1 rep max, but if I want it also to be functional, I want to be able to do that a lot of times, to put a lot of we call it in sport therapy, a lot of damage to your tissue, a lot of stress to your tissue, and it's different, and it needs to be specific, because like when you in Masai, your quads are working a lot. Let's say you're always like getting on a rock and you push and you're doing a step up like we're doing here, and if you do it in a metcon, that's sport specific training. If you do it in a circuit training, that's sport specific training. That's what's important, like to stimulate our muscles and our body in every way is possible. Because we have so many variants in the army that your body needs to be strong towards, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like sports specific as well. So if I am doing a CrossFit made up the word Maga, but let's say a circuit training or al-Makhzouri, whatever it is, I want it to be still sports specific. So I'm not just gonna have the guy do random shit for fun. I'm gonna be like, what am I gonna be doing in the army? In training, lots of burpees. Good, burpees are in. Weighted carries, the best exercise ever for tactical. Just carry shit and go as far as you could. You can put it on your back, you can carry it on your side, you can wear a weight vest. Just do that. Do it every day. Do it every other day. Get used to walking with weight. If I go hiking and I'm not in the military, I'm in the reserves, I'm not in the military anymore. If I'm in the reserves, I know I walk every day with an average of somewhere between 10 to 20 kilo. Because when I take Charlie for a walk, there's a kettlebell in my bag. Maybe I'll be called up for my country. Maybe there'll be a war this summer. I want to know that I'm not just strong, but I'm in tactical shape. So weighted carries, burpees. What else would you add in? Maybe some crawling, stuff that are like specific to the things the Army needs, but at a high intensity session. I think me and Nadav discussed about the Marines fitness test. So it's like 6 minutes, hell 6 minutes, where you're mimicking throwing a grenade, then you're sprinting, then you're carrying a box of bullets over your head, then you're sprinting again, then you're carrying your friend. It's just like a 6-minute endurance circuit. That's pretty sport specific, but nothing will compare to the rigors of war. Like you can't mimic a war, although in the Army they obviously try to do that, but you could mimic being under pressure with a high intensity rate while shooting, for example. In the Army they have that a lot, where they shoot your heart rate up, and then you have to shoot perfectly accurately, which is really hard.
So what I do actually, like in my group of Fakhanat Tzava,
you do fake yalamim?
I will do fake yalam, which is like shooting under pressure, under whatever.
I want to hear that. So how does
so what we're doing, we're like I give them like let's say I won't say it on camera because it's a really dirty word, but like a horrible set, like not cluster, like how do you say chaos set, whatever, like some kind of like. There crawls, there runs, there push. I just. Are you what? Okay, yeah, okay. So we just like push them like into like the edge of their physical capacity, and then we give them a weighted ball, and they need to shoot to target.
Hell yeah!
It could be a wall ball up. It could be like a throw to the side, whatever.
I'm stealing that idea.
That's a great idea because that's like they are gassed, they are fatigued, and then they need to perform cognitively. Okay, they need to focus to calm themselves down and shoot to the target. Okay, so the girls will use a 4 kilograms ball and shoot like to yay high target, and the boys will use the 8 kilogram ball and they need to hit the target 3 times. Okay.
Wow, but that's fascinating. I mean, that's like we're talking. Don't do this in the first month, in 12 months for the Army.
Specific.
This is like you're about to draft like a month or 2 into the Army. Even during the training. We forgot that in the beginning, cognitive reaction time drills, the blaze spots, the reaction lights. Bro, forget about a ball sport. The tactical athlete needs to be the most reactive person in the world. I work with some Yassam guys, super cops.
Yassam.
I work with some of these Yassam dudes, and like every session, part of our warm-up, we're doing blaze spots drills. Because this dude, he could be like standing duty, and then someone could like stab him in the back. He needs to be the most reactive individual on the planet. Okay, dealing with riots all day. Tactical is also police as well, obviously. So like every day I want to sharpen his brain. Training is not just physical training, it's cognitive training, and this is so important. Under pressure, you're tired, good. Now you know, get those reaction stuff in, whether it's shooting or what I do with him actually, and I made a post about this before, is I have him stand in his stance exactly how he stands on duty. His hand is on his hip, his other hand is at ready. I'll tire him out a bit, I don't know, some crawling, some heavy squats, anything really. And then I'll put the blaze spot drill on. He's tired, he's breathing, and he has to tap it while his hand is on his gun. So it's like as sport specific as it gets. So reaction time, super important as well.
Yeah, so like reaction time, cognitive skills, like one under pressure is like a must in training for the military. If you want to be in a light unit, if you want to finish your service alive and healthy, that's a really, really important factor.
When's the last time you did cognitive training in the Army?
Me?
Never, exactly.
Never.
We're talking like
only alarm, only.
You were in elite unit, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were both in the elite unit, and like none of the things we mentioned were done. Not a single aspect. Maybe we ran a bit.
Huh?
Maybe we ran a bit. Maybe we did some bodyweight squats. It's pretty sad. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have access to blaze pods or reaction lights, it's fine. You can take a tennis ball and I could just have my athlete stand in front of me in a sport-specific stance. It could be kneeling, it could be on the floor in a lying down shooting stance. It could be standing with like a gun or a fake gun. And I could just be like, react to the tennis ball, boom, throw it that way, that's the burst of the ball. Throw it that way. You can take 4 cones and just burst to the colors. You just need to you need to move with reaction.
So what also is that we're doing also with the Mechina pre-army program that I'm working with, like after that we build a base of Krav Maga and stuff like that, we also do a chaos set, and then they enter in the room. At each time, like, a person goes to them, but they need to react differently. So, because we taught them, if someone comes to you running, you need to do the push kick to push them away. Someone comes to you, let's say it's a really close quarter, you won't throw punches at him because you can't develop power, you're going with your elbows. And then someone will come in a different way with a knife and you need to defend and then push him. That's also, that's very technical skill that they learned already, but they need to use it in a chaos situations, and that's like where the cognitive and reaction time really comes in handy when they train that, when they've been tested at that you can see who practiced that, who worked on that, and who's like, let's say, natural on that, and that's a really important factor. That's
where would you say like the Krav Maga and martial arts aspect fits into the 12-month plan we laid out? At what stage should I start incorporating it?
I think Krav Maga itself, like the basics can start from the beginning.
100%.
It's like how to punch, how to
like Olympic weightlifting technique.
Yeah.
You teach it in the beginning, and then
the Olympic weightlifting technique. They start with broomsticks,
yeah.
and that's how you should start. You should start like shadow box, okay, in front of instructors. See how you box, and then you should move like to punching bag or something like that to work on your power, work on your strength in your punching, on your technique and your movements and stuff like that, and slowly work up to specific. Okay, so let's say in the last period, like you'll fight against someone. Okay, even if it's not 100% fight, still do it in front of someone that's moving, that's reacting to your movements. Because if you only
cognitive,
if you only fight against like a punching bag, you will never be ready for the real thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean push kicks, jabs, that kind of stuff. Not push kicks. Push kicks, punches, and then as you get closer and closer to the draft date, then you can start getting a little sport specific. Someone can come at you with a fake knife, and you can push kick him away. Then bop him in the face. But that's all also sport specific. I don't see a point in practicing those scenarios the year before if you're not strong. Mm-hmm. Why is it? We both mentioned before the Army did nothing with nothing of this aspect of how we're talking about the ideal build an athlete. The Army did nothing of that. Why is that? Why is the Army so behind?
So I think the core problem is that Israel doesn't know how to train sports. So basically, when we look let's say on amateur kids playing soccer in a chugim.
Hey, that's what I do. Don't make fun of me.
in activities of the afternoon, their coaches don't know how to build them physically. They know how to give them to technically how
ball
to,
skills.
Yeah, ball skills and whatever. But physically, they don't know how to give them the right structure or right programs.
They're very good at, and I work with the soccer academy for a couple of years. They're very good at here's how to shoot the ball, here's how to pass the ball, here's how to kick the ball, but they're not actually building them stronger, which is the same mistake we see in the military over and over again. You're taking a very, very not strong person, zero base of strength, zero mobility, zero stability. You're putting 40 kilo on him and saying, here's a shot to shoot a gun. But hello, this guy can't even walk with 40 kilo. Sure. Why are you teaching him how to pass and kick a ball if he doesn't even know how to run? Mm-hmm. And I think the Army is also... Israel's pretty new. What are we, 70 years now? Tonight and tomorrow is Israel's birthday. It's funny like that. We have the Memorial Day and then right away into happiness. But I think that's a beautiful concept, actually. Mm-hmm. And what we do is, Israel's been around for 70-something years, and we don't know that much. Even though we're a very, battle-ridden country, I think we're one of the most successful countries for the span of time we've had. We were literally, Israel's founded, 2 days later, we're under attack by 7 countries. There was no time to train the soldiers. Here's a gun, here's how to shoot it, go to the... Literally. In 1948, they went to all the people on the border, schools, non-schools, institutions. Here's a gun, here's how to shoot it, protect your country.
They were lucky if they had a gun.
Yeah. So, here's a shovel, start digging graves. So, I don't think Israel had the time to build up the tactical athlete, so to speak, and I think the mentality, unfortunately, stuck 7 years later.
I think like you said, the key problem here is that we said, we're strong mentally. We have very, very strong hearts.
Oh, hell yeah, bro.
We are passionate about keeping Israel safe, and that's what the military is based on.
Right.
Not about like scientifically proven methods or field proven methods. It's just like use like the passion and the energy of the soldiers in order to propel like the drive to win the war. If we take that and combine that with strong, healthy, powerful athletes,
Mobile, stable,
everything like a strong athletes. Let's just stick with strong. That's like a general word for like all around. Okay, I think that will be like our military will be like in a whole different level, and that's the way that me and Sean I think thriving to push the army towards to.
I mean, you've kind of been maximizing your potential. Like, don't get me wrong, Israel's great. Israel's army is great. But if we can take that same greatness, which has X power and force and strength, and just take the same soldiers and the same elite units, and just like double their ability to not get hurt, you're that much more effective. People are not getting hurt as less, which means instead of 100 soldiers finishing the elite training, 200 soldiers finishing elite training. That's 200 more soldiers who can protect their country and are capable of redoing.
On that, I know the statistic of like how many female athletes, a female soldier like finishing like fight like a combat athlete.
We did a whole
training.
podcast on the female soldier,
and it's like around 70% like in the artillery corps that people that doesn't finish like training.
I wonder why.
And that's because a lot of injuries, a lot of like unpreparedness, like mentally and physically, and that's also like a big problem also with male soldiers. Like the army doesn't know how to prepare them well enough to the actual service. Okay, they're not like the miyunim. How do you say that?
The tests, the trials,
the tryouts, the tzav rishon, all of like the recruitment process is not primed. Okay, it still lack like girls that don't know what they're doing, don't know. They're just like a little bit of Zionists. Wants to go to Kravi, and then they get to it, they get hurt, and they drop out. That's a lot of waste of money that the army can
and time and
potential. And like it's a waste for like the person. Like why this should get hurt? Why this should have such a negative feelings about the army? Because if like the recruitment process will be better, if like the recruitment process will be better and finding people who actually fits being a tactical athlete, a fighters, a combat soldiers, and give them the right direction to go through in order like to be healthy and be strong and draft strong, that would be so much more effective, time saving, money saving, and like just like general better. Because like if you can take all this time and all this money and put that in strength training or making like facilities or trainers better, will be such a better place.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue is not just to women. I think it's to men and women.
Yeah, both definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we've done quite a few podcasts with female soldiers who we interviewed. We also had a podcast on the tactical athletes spoken for women, like should women draft or not. And without being like sexist, I look at it like this: if the army's doing zero prep, which it's not training you, it's not doing anything right. If men are naturally going to be a little bit stronger than women because of testosterone growth hormone, so this is the difference. So you're taking a man, okay, fine, he'll pass. The woman is naturally a little bit less stronger. Of course, the success rate is going to be lower.
Yeah. Also, like building on that, like I was after a while in the unit, became a warfare instructor. I was in charge of like shooting, Krav Maga stuff, everything like including warfare. Open space shooting, close quarters shooting, fighting in a city or whatever. So I was a lot engaged with the chaos and like the how do you say targilim sikmin? Like
the summary exercises.
So like summer drills and stuff like that. You build up and doing like a lot of like mental and performance and like physical performance. Like at the end of the training, that you could see like how your athlete is performing. So we had like one of the most difficult drills in the unit, which is like 2K of crawling. Okay, 2K is like 5-6 hours of crawling. It's super hard. It's super intense. It's crazy. It's not functional at all. It's not sports business.
I'm definitely down for it just for the challenge.
But it's challenging, and it's like it's a how do you say it's a tradition in the unit.
That's okay.
That everyone goes through. Okay, It builds you strongly mental. It's great. I love that tradition. But you can see those who are stronger, those who are mentally stronger, those who are like put effort and ready and like combat ready in the unit are thriving in these scenarios. Like one of the girls in that unit, it used to be like I think 70 soldiers went through this, and like a girl finished 5th out of 70
Hell
people.
Yeah, bro.
Maybe 10 girls. A girl finished 5th. Like you can see how ready she is. She was an officer later as well. She was ready for the army. She was ready for the army. She was strong. She was mobile. She was everything. She was the whole package, and she was mentally prepared for everything in the army. But not everyone is in that shape. Okay.
Yeah.
So we need.
Not everyone wants it that badly.
Yeah, and we need to understand like that. We need to recruit people that are compatible with military service. Not everyone is ready for that.
Hey, and you know that ties into a greater subject, but there's a reason why elite units have these trials, these 3 to 5 day trials. I think a bigger problem, and not for this podcast, is that there's the concept of egalitarianism. I don't know how to pronounce the word. Of equal rights. Men and women should both draft. No. A capable human being should draft. I don't care if it's a man, woman, or a train station. I said that same line in my other podcast. But we're going to move on from that subject, and I think the bottom line is specific where do I fit in mental training in the last phase before the army. Because you're mentally strong 12 months before your draft, that's a good thing, but it's not going to specifically carry over to your service. Build up the base of strength, build up your mental capacity, and then fulfill it. Now, when it breaks down to it, if me and Nadav are the same level of strength and athleticism, strength, power, that's not possible because everyone has their own ability. But let's just say in theory, we both squat 100 kilo, we both have good mobility, we both have good stability. We then go through the crawling test. We're both good crawlers, which we assume both are.
Yeah.
The person who's going to win is the person who wants it more.
Yeah.
Meaning the person who's mentally stronger. But someone who's weak is not going to finish that test. I see it all the time. I crawl with Seven Mikey, I work with them. Whenever I do crawls, the strongest dude suddenly just like breaks down. Because either he doesn't know how to crawl or he just doesn't want it bad enough. The person who comes first, the person who starts first, the strongest people. The person who finishes it, the one who is willing to, rabak it out, you know what I mean? Now, when it ties into that, just a little bit of a divergent, going off topic for a second. So Israel's very behind in, their tactical training. You doing all right? Getting a little cold?
Yeah, I'm good.
Bro, he's in the ice bath for like over an hour. So he's
I'm good right now.
He's breaking my record because my record is 60 minutes. Now I have to break yours. Going to the sports world for a second. Why do you think that Israel hasn't really succeeded, besides what we discussed already, why do you think that Israel hasn't really succeeded in the sports world, besides individual sports like martial arts or other things where it's really up to one individual to just take the training upon himself? Soccer, what other sports? We have tennis, basketball. We haven't really gotten far on the map. Very rarely do you see an individual athlete who's bought by Belgium or by England or America, or even as a sports team, we haven't really got that far. And I think it ties into what we spoke about Israel, but let's delve into that a little bit more. Like, what do you think it is?
So I think a huge problem is that we spoke a little bit about it in the high, that the education ingredient in sports is lacking here. So if you look at like America, the United States, if you look at Japan, like sports education, PE, is like a core ingredient in their school system. And here it's like, hey, here, have a ball. Here, go for a run for an hour. Go play soccer for an hour. It's not programmized. They don't have like thing that they look up for. It's getting better and better with time, but it's still not there yet. And a lot of like young kids don't know how to squat. Why are they telling them how to squat in PE? That's what PE is about. Physical education, how to squat, how to move with your body. Instead of they're doing circuit training maybe, and they're doing a run, and they're doing soccer, but no one knows how to move, how to train. They're just like training for an hour. There's no education ingredient in it. Another problem with Israel. Do you want to comment on that?
I'll get back to it in a moment.
So another problem with Israeli sports education, like the process is not working. Like a lot of like young kids, let's say age of 7 to 10, are in sports hugim, sports classes, after
clubs, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're active. When they get to 12, 14, something is lost. The process is lost. It's not like working anymore. Like people are leaving the sports and maybe coming back to it after the army or a little bit before the army at age 16 to 17. They're coming back for a year or two and then they're leaving for the army. and like the process is like is weird because like there's no support for like teenage athletes. They don't know how to train. They don't know how to work, and there's very little like clubs or.
There's very little high quality systems that can support them through their building their athleticism.
Yeah, like the main goal for Israel, I think, Chugim is like to make money off a lot of young kids, and then like whoever is not an athlete like drops out, and the athlete doesn't have like such a great club or misgeret. How do you say that in English?
System
Support
system.
you. And last thing, army. Like a lot of like let's say a weightlifter. Which is really promising at ages 17, 18, try to start like thinking like what I'm going to do in the army. Am I going to be sportai mitzvah, it's like
outstanding soldier,
outstanding athletes that is instead of like doing like normal service or combat service, he's like coming once or twice to the base and like all the other time he trains for Olympic championships or European championships. But some of them will think, why should I go to the art? Like, why should I keep going with my sport? I can do something meaningful with my time. I can go combat. I can be a madricha. I can be an instructor or whatever. Do something meaningful. And then they're starting shift from the sports toward more goal specific for the army. Go to Achanat Tzava, to be a tactical athlete. And then they leave their sports. Some of them return. Some of them never do.
We kind of broke it down to three things, right? We got education. We got the curriculum and supportive environment, and we got the army. So I want to address all of them. And I want to add another one. Education-wise, the term education means teaching. All my physical education classes, even in America, by the way, were, hey, here's a ball, go play football. In Israel, and I wasn't here that much for my childhood, I mostly grew up in America, in the States, here's how to play volleyball, which is better than here's a football. Teaching a sport is great. But there's the concept of, do I want to teach my kids how to play sports, or do I want to teach them how to be athletes? If I teach my kid how to run, if I teach myself, I train like an athlete. I squat heavy things, I move heavy things, like the Strong by Science guy says. I move heavy things fast, I move heavy things slowly, I hop, I jump, I skip, I land, I do it multi-directionally. So you can throw any sport upon me, like you can take me to rugby practice like last weekend. I think I did a pretty good job. You know,
nailed
like,
it.
Yeah, like I don't know how to throw a ball, but I'm strong, I'm powerful, and I'm agile. So I'm taking down the guy who's double my size. I do come from a tackle football background without tooting my own horn, but like I'm an athlete. So you want to take this kid, you want to teach him how to squat. You want to teach him how to hinge, you want to teach him how to jump, how to land, how to laterally move. And then he can just carry over that to any sport. That's education. Playing a sport is not education. That's number one. Number two, the curriculum. In America, you take a kid, he's 8 years old, and you're like, this kid is insanely good with football. So instead of saying, let's hone your football skills, let's hone his athletic skills. That's what I do as a coach. I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
Build his base strength. Get him strong as possible until the age of 12 to 15. He's strong, add some Olympic weightlifts in. He's powerful, add some speed, some agility, some stability, some landing mechanics. Along the way, slowly build up his ball skills. But don't just build ball skills.
I want to add on that,
yeah,
because like that's also a huge problem in Israel. Like
when
someone who's 8 excels in soccer, he only plays soccer. Only like 5, 4, 6 times a week, and like that's how you get injured. Okay, early specialization is a problem in all sports. Like you can see researches and what it's called. Articles about it of the NBA all the time because it's a big problem in America of early
specialization. This is how I sound when I speak Hebrew.
Yeah, he does. So it's a real problem because you only train specific movement, you only train specific patterns, and then when you're doing another pattern, you're not ready for it and you're not trained for that, and then when you get injured. And that's why, like, people who early specialized in something in the US, in the NBA, their careers are much shorter than people who, like, had late specializations.
So think of it like a triangle, okay? So at the bottom of the triangle, in Israel, the way it's done is early specialization. Then we move on to, like, maybe in a good soccer federation, maybe at the age of 15 to 18, he's doing, like, little bodyweight exercises. And then at 18, they're like, okay, let's actually like sprint with him. No. I want to switch that triangle. I want you to early specialize at the age of 18. You know why? Because when I'm training a 12-year-old, I don't care about his games. I don't care if he wins against the Ranana Raiders. I care that he is strong, healthy, resilient, and staying injury-free. When he's 18 and he's playing for Team Israel, then I want to have his ball skills. So similar to what we said with the Army. But now instead of 1 year, I have 10 years. The age between 8 to 15 is the golden age of building his athleticism. Mm-hmm. I don't mean squat 100 kilo. Like whenever I work with Israeli organizations, don't put a lot of weight on them. It's dangerous. Bro, don't worry. I don't tell you how to shoot the soccer and the goal. Mm-hmm. Let me do my thing, yeah? I'm not trying to load them with 50 kilo. I'm saying every kid here, 10 years old, should be able to do a basic bodyweight squat, maybe with like a kettlebell, a 5 kilo. If he has a perfect kettlebell squat with perfect range of motion, I like this guy. At 10 years old, advance. 15 years old, advance. Keep on honing in their athleticism. And no one in Israel does that. That's a lie. There's very few coaches, me and Nadav are privileged to be among them, who do these things. Like I was at Nadav's rugby practice, and we're dealing with adults, and guess what? It's not super professional. It's like semi-professional local team. And it was fun, but you're taking like 25-year-olds who have zero athletic skills. You know why? Because they never, ever moved laterally before. Yeah. Like, they've thrown a ball before. That's the concept, and, you really, it's a golden opportunity. If you're taking an 18-year-old and teaching him how to squat then, you miss your opportunity. That guy's never going to fulfill his potential, and his career is going to be a lot shorter. The NFL, they do the exact opposite. You see 12-year-olds, at 10 years old, learning how to squat. 15-year-old, they're power cleaning 140 kilo. I want that guy on my team. Yeah. Rugby, football, soccer, I don't care.
I want to rebirth again and do that.
Yeah, same, bro. I also probably late specialized, but at least I played sports growing up. That's a start. Yeah. And I started at the age of 15. Like I went to the gym and learned how to squat at age 15, which is not too late, which I think built me.
Not too bad. Yeah.
The third thing you said is about the Army. I'm like a very one thing kind of guy. If I want to be an athlete, I want to be spending my 24/7 focusing on my athletic career. Now, it doesn't mean training all day. It means training like an athlete, recovering like an athlete, reading books like an athlete, listening to the Cold Feet podcast like an athlete, a little tooting my horn, doing things to maximize capacity. If once or even twice a week I'm going to the Army, it's taking away my focus from my athletic career to the Army. And as Nadav said as well, maybe I'll be like, maybe I won't be an athlete after all. So you're taking a lot of potential, and I would say a good 50% of them, just say whatever, they leave their athletic career, and another 50% of them, they're not losing 20% of their time in the Army. They're losing 100% of the time. Because instead of their 24/7 focus on building an athletic career, their focus isn't like, I have to go to the Army, I have to come back. And they're kind of like losing focus, and they have to work a whole another half a day. They have to rest from being in the Army. It's tiring, and then back to the training. And it's like you have to be very, very focused to really be able to balance an athletic career and Army career. Mm-hmm. Another concept is the Israeli mentality. Israelis are stubborn, man.
That's you.
Thanks. Though there's a guy in the NFL. He was interviewed last week, and he sneezed on camera, and he's like, bless you, thank you. He thanked himself. It was really funny. So I've worked with lots of coaches. Some fascinating pleasure to work with people like Nadav, and I've worked with some really stubborn guys who I don't want to work with again. And they're just stubborn. Like you said to them, hey, I really respect your skills, but maybe give me more than 5 minutes on the side of the field to train them. Like, do you want him to be good at we're talking 12-year-olds. Do you want him to be good at shooting a goal, or do you want him to be an athlete who will win for Team Israel? Or be sold to Belgium for a few $100,000 at the age of 18. Mm-hmm. They're stubborn. It's an Israeli thing. It's the mentality. Israelis tend to think they're always right. And because there's no fitness culture here, they don't think otherwise. Like I remember when I build warm-ups for athletes, it's never just like get your heart rate up. It's dynamic mobility, stability, landing, jumping, running technique, agility technique. And that's part of the warm-up. That way I can sneak it in off the grid, because they're going to give me 10 minutes on the side with weights, if they're weights on a good day, if I bring them. So I can sneak in all the technique stuff in the warm-up, and then the CEO came to oversee my soccer game. He's like, no, we can't do this. This is American stuff. I said, no, this is not American stuff. This is building an athlete stuff. I said, fire me or let me do my job, because if you're not going to let me build the athletes, then I'm wasting my time. So you let me do my thing. But he's like, this is not how we do it. Yeah, that's exactly why Israel sucks in soccer in the world, or football. Sorry for being so blunt, but you got to let the people who do the education, do the research grow. With that being said, Nadav, you broke my record in the ice bath. I did it 60 minutes. I think you're holding 70 minutes, so you're absolutely killing it. Anything else you want to add to our dear viewers out there? Maybe it is the Remembrance Day, a message you want to say.
So, to conclude our conversation, we both, I think, really think that there's a lot of improvement need to be done in Israeli sports and Israel. What do you think?
You don't know the hard thing?
Okay. In Israeli sports and in the military. Okay, we can prepare our soldiers better. We can
Same thing.
Yeah,
like
both.
Military is more important.
Yeah. So we can do definitely better. We can do better. Coaches can do better. Athletes can do better. Everyone can do better. And if we're pushing in the right direction, that's the goal. Because our goal, we're standing here today in the Memorial Day. In the Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. I told you, it's like when I speak Hebrew.
In the Memorial Day, like we remember those who fell, and we don't want any more.
No more falling.
Yeah, no more people dying. No more people dying in the war. And the stronger you are, the better soldier you are.
100%.
The less chances of this to happen. So, like, our goal is to make Israel even stronger, even better, in any aspect. If it's sport, if it's army, and I think like our mission through fitness is to do that. And I really think that's a really important mission for us to have, because the military is really great in all those things, but he's lacking in others. And I think like our place here is to make it better.
We're privileged, man. You know, we're privileged to be among the 10, 20 people in Israel who get to work with military and educate ourselves. You know, we're not just taking what we learned from the army, from the tactical, we're actually taking the strength and conditioning knowledge and applying it. It's such a privilege. Both of us, we're both highly paid professionals, but we both volunteer our time with the military because it's important to us. We're passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I can't predict the future, but if someone's stronger and faster, it could be very well that he would have been in the right place at the right time and the bullet would have missed him. I can't like say that, but especially for those out there who have lost a loved one, I apologize. But I lost someone in my team in the war, in the 2014 war. But like, if you're stronger and faster and you're getting injured less, you're gonna be a better soldier. You're for sure not gonna get hurt or injured over stupidity, like jumping from a tank or something landing on your knee. And you never know, in warfare, you know, it will pay off. Maybe you'll be able to fend off the attacker better. So if you're drafting our message, you know, train properly, you're welcome to reach out to us. We're both on Instagram. You're
NadiBS.
Could you spell that?
NADIBS.
Sweet. You can find me at Sean.fitforlife. My Instagram, my Facebook. You can always drop me an email, SeanFitForLife@gmail.com. And I also wanted to tell you guys, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for spending your special, unique time watching us. And me and Nadav, both being tactical coaches, are working on a regimen that's going to be launched online where you can do it anywhere in the world, specifically to help you build yourself to prepare for the army. And as opposed to other programs, it's going to be combining all the elements we spoke about. So the mental, the physical, the strength, the endurance, and maybe, you know, really help you get ready for your bush and survive your whole training without getting injured. That's all for now. Thank you so much for coming on the show, bro. Let's go have some pancakes and work out, bro.